Somewhere along the longest road in America, there are towns that no one visits anymore, not because they're hard to find, but because something happened there, something the maps don't tell you, something locals stopped talking about years ago. Route 66, 2,400 miles of broken dreams, desert silence, and places that time didn't just forget, it abandoned. Some of these towns died quietly, others didn't. And a few of them, you can still visit today, but maybe you shouldn't. In this video, we're driving through 10 abandoned towns along the Mother Road, places that once fed thousands of travelers, that had diners, motels, gas stations, families, futures. Some collapsed because a highway bypassed them. Others fell to disaster, some to violence, and one still carries a secret that nobody around here talks about. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand why some roads are better left undriven. In 1926, Route 66 was officially born, a ribbon of asphalt that stretched from Chicago, Illinois, all the way to Santa Monica, California. For decades, it was the road America traveled. Families packed their cars and headed west during the Dust Bowl. Soldiers came home on it. Truckers, dreamers, musicians, they all drove Route 66. And along the way, thousands of small towns grew up to serve them. Motels, diners, gas stations, trading posts. Whole communities built entirely around the rhythm of passing traffic. Then came the interstate highway system. Wider roads, faster routes, freeways that cut straight through the desert, bypassing the little towns entirely. One by one, the travelers stopped coming. And one by one, the towns went dark. What's left of them now is scattered across 8 states, rusted, crumbling, slowly disappearing back into the earth. Here are 10 abandoned towns along Route 66 that feel like they were forgotten by time itself. Number 10, Texola, Oklahoma. On the border of Oklahoma and Texas, there is a town called Texola. In its heyday, Texola was a thriving Route 66 stop with a full main street, gas stations, hotels, and a courthouse that served the community for decades. Travelers passed through constantly. Businesses stayed open. People built lives here. Then Interstate 40 arrived. It did not pass through Texola. It went around it. Within years, the businesses closed. People left for better opportunities. The population, once in the hundreds, dwindled to almost nothing. Today, Texola has fewer than 30 residents. The buildings that remain are caved in, swallowed by weeds, their windows long gone. A rusted water tower still looms over the town like a monument to everything that was lost. Walking the main street today, you get the eerie sensation that everyone simply walked away. Galena, Kansas, sits near the very beginning of Route 66, and it once sat at the center of one of the richest mining booms in American history. Lead and zinc were pulled from the earth here for decades. The mines made men rich. The town grew up around them. Thousands of people called Galena home at its peak. But mines run dry. By the mid-20th century, the veins had been exhausted. The jobs disappeared. The people followed. Route 66 gave Galena a second life until it didn't. What remained was a town on life support. Many of its buildings are still standing, but hollowed out. One rusted truck parked near an old service station became unexpectedly famous. Many believe it inspired the character Tow Mater from the Pixar film Cars. Not everything here is gone, but what's left has the quiet, fragile feeling of something barely holding on. Deep in the Mojave Desert, Essex, California, sits on the edge of survival. Once a key water stop for steam locomotives crossing the desert, Essex grew into a small Route 66 community with a cafe, a gas station, and a post office. In the middle of the Mojave, it was a lifeline. When the interstate bypassed it, the lifeline was cut. Today, Essex is barely a ghost of itself. A few structures still stand, brutalized by decades of desert heat. The post office reportedly still functions, serving what few permanent residents remain, scattered across the surrounding wilderness. There are no restaurants, no fuel, nothing but heat, silence, and the occasional traveler who stopped for reasons they cannot quite explain. Ludlow sits in the heart of the Mojave, and it has the feel of a place that has been dying slowly for 50 years. In its prime, Ludlow was a railroad town and a Route 66 stop that served miners working the Calico Hills. Hotels and a Harvey House restaurant made it a legitimate destination for cross-country travelers. Today, it is mostly ruins. A motel that stopped taking guests decades ago. A crumbling cafe. Broken walls baking in temperatures that regularly exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit. What makes Ludlow uniquely unsettling is not any particular history of violence or mystery. It is the heat, the absolute, merciless, suffocating heat, and the silence. If your car broke down here in the summer, far from any help, Ludlow would become a very different kind of story. Number 6. Chambless, California. It barely qualified as a town even at its peak. It was a stop, a roadhouse, a few structures, a place to pull over in the Mojave and catch your breath before the next stretch of empty desert. When Route 66 traffic died, Chambless did not fade. It simply ceased to exist in any meaningful way. The roadhouse closed, and the structures were left standing. Today, what remains looks like a film set the crew forgot to dismantle. One building with peeling paint. Old signs. A parking lot that has not seen a car in years. It is one of the most isolated points on the entire Route 66 corridor. Standing there, surrounded by nothing in every direction, the desert feels less like a landscape and more like a presence. Number 5. Cuervo, New Mexico. Say the name to a local, and they might look at you differently. This small New Mexico town once had a church, a post office, a school, and several hundred residents who farmed and ranched the surrounding land. Route 66 ran right through the middle of town, and for a while, Cuervo had everything it needed. Then the water became scarce. The farms became harder to maintain. Interstate 40 opened nearby, pulling the last of the travelers away. Today, Cuervo is a ruin. Adobe walls slowly dissolving back into the desert floor. A church still stands, barely. Its interior is open to the sky, the roof long collapsed. There is something about a collapsed church in an empty town that stops you cold. All that belief, all that hope, left to crumble. But the next town on this list has a far darker story. One that involves a zoo, a murder, and buildings that are still standing today, covered in graffiti warnings that say, "Do not enter." Number 4. Amboy, California. Amboy, California looks like a movie set, and in many ways, it is. The iconic Roy's Motel and Cafe sign, a relic of mid-century American design, still stands here, one of the most photographed objects on all of Route 66. Behind it, the motel itself. Frozen. Closed. A monument to the road's golden age. But Amboy's story isn't just nostalgic, it's strange. The town was essentially owned entirely by a single man named Buster Burris, who ran it for decades before selling the entire town in 2005 for $425,000. The new owner restored the gas station. Roy's still technically operates, but the rest of Amboy remains exactly as it was abandoned. And looming above all of it, just 2 miles away, is Amboy Crater, a dormant volcanic cinder cone that last erupted roughly 10,000 years ago. The landscape around it is black lava rock for miles. Living here always meant living next to a volcano. Maybe that explains something about the people who stayed. Glenrio sits directly on the state line between Texas and New Mexico, and it has one of the most peculiar histories on the entire route. Because of the state line, Glenrio developed a split personality. Texas was dry, no liquor sales. New Mexico was not, and bars opened on the New Mexico side. Gas was cheaper in Texas, so gas stations opened there. The town was literally divided between two states, two economies, playing each side against the other. Route 66 travelers loved it for that reason. When the interstate arrived, the game was over. Both sides of Glenrio were bypassed at once. The town died overnight, it seems, leaving behind identical buildings on either side of a state line that now separates nothing from nothing. Today, Glenrio is completely uninhabited. Buildings still stand on both sides of the road. A last motel in Texas sign rusts in the wind. Standing on that state line, you feel it. 2 states, 2 ghosts, and the road going nowhere in both directions. Number 2. Two Guns, Arizona. The name alone should tell you something. In the 1920s, a man named Harry Miller, who called himself Two Gun Miller, built a roadside attraction here on the edge of a canyon. He constructed a zoo. He sold tickets to Apache Death Cave, a cavern in the canyon walls where, according to local legend, a massacre had taken place decades earlier. Miller charged travelers to see human bones. It got darker. A neighboring landowner disputed Miller's right to the property. The dispute turned violent. A man was killed. Lawsuits buried the town in legal chaos for years. The zoo animals died. The zoo closed. The attraction shuttered. The town, which had briefly included a post office and a gas station, was gone before the 1930s were over. What remains at Two Guns today is some of the most disturbing scenery on all of Route 66. Stone ruins, rusted animal cages, still partially standing. The mouth of the cave, open and dark. People still visit. Many of them report feeling deeply uneasy, not just from the history, but from something they cannot name. The canyon below holds no signs, no markers, no acknowledgement of what happened there. Just silence and the wind. Number 1. The number 1 spot on this list does not belong to one town. It belongs to a stretch of Route 66 in the Mojave Desert, roughly between Amboy and Ludlow, where, on some nights, travelers have reported seeing lights in the distance that do not appear on any map, where drivers have pulled over and heard sounds they could not explain, where the road is so straight, so silent, and so utterly empty that the mind begins to work against itself. There are no signs here, no buildings, nothing for miles in any direction. This is what Route 66 becomes at its furthest edge, not a highway, not a road, but a thin line of human intention laid across a landscape that was never meant to be crossed. Standing here as the sun sets, with the desert going purple around you and the silence pressing in from every side, you understand something. The towns along this road did not just die. They were reclaimed by the desert, by time. by whatever it is that fills a place when people leave. Route 66 was once the most American thing imaginable, a road that promised freedom. It said, "Start here, drive west, and whatever you leave behind, leave it behind." Millions of people believed in that promise. They built their lives along the edge of it. Towns grew up overnight and filled with the sound of engines, music, laughter, the clink of glasses in roadside diners. And then, slowly, so slowly that most of them did not notice until it was too late, the road stopped mattering. The highways got bigger, the country got faster, and the little towns that had grown up to serve the travelers found themselves serving no one. What's left isn't tragedy, exactly. It's something more complicated than that. It's a reminder that everything we build is temporary, that the road always leads somewhere new, and that somewhere behind us, always, there are places that used to matter, fading back into the earth, waiting for someone to remember them. These are just 10 of them. Route 66 stretches for 2,400 miles. No one has counted every abandoned town, every shuttered motel, every gas station where the pumps still stand, but the fuel ran out 50 years ago. There are stretches of this road that almost no one drives anymore. Stretches where the asphalt has cracked back into gravel, where the signs are unreadable. Somewhere out there, along the Mother Road, there are towns no one has made a video about yet. Towns nobody visits. Towns nobody talks about. And maybe there is a reason for that. So, which of these towns surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. Was it Two Guns, Glenrio, that stretch of desert with no name? If you want more stories like this, ghost towns, abandoned places, roads that time forgot, subscribe. We go to the edges of the map so you don't have to, and hit that notification bell. The next road we are taking is even darker than this one.